Hey, what's going on, y'all? Eric Mulder here with Code Red Conversations. Thanks for joining me today. In today's video, I'm going to do like I usually do. We're going to let the speakers speak for themselves, and we're going to dissect their comments. In today's video, I respond to Terrell Owens' recent comments claiming that he is terrified as a black man in America today. And we're going to see if his comments hold any water, if they're based in any semblance of facts or reality. Let's let the video play. And I'll stop and I'll comment when I feel it, when I see fit.
As black men, bro, we're getting killed at an alarming rate now. And it's only a matter of time until they kill somebody, of somebody where they're not going to care, and it's going to.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there. I should have stopped when the first 5 seconds. He says, today, black men here in America are being killed at an alarming rate. But based on the overall context here, he's discussing the police. So let's examine that claim. So let's just look at the last 4 years, going back to 2016. And this is according to the Washington Post. The Washington Post use it for its database. In 2016, there were 19 unarmed black men who were shot by the police. And as I always say, and repeat this over and over again because I really want this to stick and I really want this to sink into people's head, unarmed doesn't equate to not being dangerous necessarily. As a matter of fact, I have a video that deals with being unarmed and whether someone is dangerous or not. I'll put the link below because YouTube won't let me post it above. But it goes into detail examining the claim of being unarmed and dangerous and how so many people make a false assumption that if someone doesn't have a weapon that they can no longer be a threat. But once again, let's go back to the data that I was sharing. In 2016, as I mentioned, there were 19 unarmed black men who were shot by the police. In 2017, there were 21. In 2018, 17. And just as last year, the number kind of fluctuated, and I've seen it anywhere as low as 9, but I've seen it as high as 15. So there were 15 total unarmed black men who were shot by the police in different years. Is that an alarming rate if we honestly examine that claim? I don't know about you, but 15, as sad and as tragic as any death is, that doesn't sound like an alarming rate to me. And I would dare say that if Terrell Owens actually knew the numbers, he would probably agree. But let's take it one step further. Let's examine a typical year when it comes to the police and their shootings. I believe these numbers are from 2016. There were 234 black men who were shot by the police. Out of those 234, 202 of them were in possession of some form of a weapon. In 2017, there were 223 black men who were shot by the police. 197 of them were in possession of a weapon. The Washington Post also did a report, and they showed that in their first year, which I believe is 2016, when they started tracking police shootings, they demonstrated that 85% of all police shootings, the suspect was in possession of a gun. But if you listen to folks like BLM or Terrell Owens or LeBron James, you're going to assume, you're just going to hear the number. BLM, I did another video that I'll post above where they speak about every year the police kill 1,000 people. And they just put it out there, and the average everyday citizen doesn't take the time to dissect and examine these claims. They just hear the number, 1,000 people killed by the police, and it just causes them to freak out. All the while ignoring the massive number of police, 500,000 to anywhere to up to 2 million police officers here in the United States, making over 10 million arrests a year, over 300 million contacts with the public, you will come across people who are evil. You will come across people who are violent and who mean you no good and who are about trying to take advantage and harm other people. It's just the reality of the world, the sinful world that we're living in.
Going to create a riot. It's going to create more tension between the black race and law enforcement. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to
like there isn't already, because people are assuming the narrative that they're getting from the mainstream media and from entertainers and from politicians. They're assuming them to be true instead of taking the time to once again examine the facts.
To get to that point. But at some point, it's like they're going to kill the wrong person. And it's just so unfortunate, man. But this is a systemic problem. This is the issue. And I think this is where you've heard, everybody from the black community, this is what we've been talking about.
Okay, it's a systemic problem. Let me go into the system here and let's bring up some more facts and figures. And I know some people don't want to hear facts and figures. They only want to hear concepts and ideas that agree with them. But just for the sake of conversation here, anyone who actually cares about the reality of the numbers. And this is from a report from the Center on Juvenile and Criminal Justice. I've shared this in the past before, but I think it's always good to refer back to because they aren't a conservative organization. They did a report making the claim that police officers do violate people's rights and that police officers do kill blacks disproportionately. But they were honest enough to include the numbers. And I think the numbers end up doing them harm, actually end up pulling the rug right out from underneath them. They share some information from the Center for Disease Control where they say, while recent killings by police in Ferguson, Missouri, this report was done in 2014, and New York City received national attention, the fact is that from 1999 through 2011, American law enforcement officers killed 4,531 people. 96% by firearm, and 96% of them were men, according to the Center for Disease Control. Now you're talking about over a 12-year period? And you're talking about, once again, in the whole of the United States of America, over 12 years, American law enforcement killed 4,500 people. When you look at it like that, when you hear that number, 4,500 people, again, it's meant to alarm. It's meant to incite. It's meant to get you angry. It's meant to get you upset. And it works. Until you start digging deeper. You're looking at, and over more than 10 years, all the police officers making all those interactions every year. It's like sending a soldier to war and being upset over the fact that he eventually has to take someone's life. That's what this is. But once again, it said the rate of police killings of African Americans, despite this number that they shared, it says the rate of the police killings of African Americans has fallen by 70% over the last 40 to 50 years. That's huge. And it's a number and a fact that's often ignored because we keep hearing this term of systemic racism. But we're seeing that the amount of killings of African Americans by the police has dropped dramatically. 70% is a huge number. Why are these stats almost never heard of? Why are they always ignored? I'm going to keep it going. I want to keep this video relatively brief.
This is why we as black men, black people, we're scared. And honestly, man, I really didn't really think about it until like just driving around today. Like, honestly, it's scary to be a black man in America, especially you're coming any type of encounter with law enforcement.
Are you even scared, as recognizable as you are? Most people would recognize you, I would imagine. But are you even scared still as a black man at the end of the day? are you scared driving around when a cop pulls you over, that a cop might pull you over and that you might be physically harmed?
Absolutely. I think now more so than ever. There have been times where obviously I knew my status or what have you could get me out of, a situation.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if I got pulled over, I'm sure my heart would probably be beating 90 miles an hour, especially considering everything that has transpired since the George Floyd murder. So honestly, yeah, I mean, it's a scary thought to think about, driving, getting pulled over for whatever reason.
I've shared this before. It's probably one of the more unpopular things that I say, but it's the harsh reality. The vast majority of the cases that we see that have become the most notable on a media level have been situations, not all of them, obviously, but the vast majority of them we see black folks, black men resisting the police or being uncooperative. No, I'm not saying they deserve to die, and I will always say that as a caveat as I discuss these issues. But if you're cooperative and you comply with the police for the most part, the odds of any harm coming your way are dramatically slim. It's so frustrating watching this or hearing this grown man talking about how terrified he is of the police. It's frustrating.
Situation with Jacob Blake, right?
Yeah.
And just to hear and read some of the comments about he should have just complied. That's no reason to kill. It's no reason to shoot somebody in the back 8 times.
Jacob Blake, the man who had a felony sexual assault warrant, who was combative with the police, where video showed that he was in possession of a knife, beyond uncooperative with the police, going into a vehicle, and somehow this dude gets made to be innocent, or the fact that he should have he should have complied, period. He should have complied. Man, this is why people say sometimes to athletes, tell them sometimes to shut up and dribble, or they just want to see them play ball and stop giving their political opinion because of foolish, ignorant comments like this.
Like, we as human beings, we know our rights. They have laws to uphold, and
those rights don't mean that you can fight the police. What about that? When will any one of these athletes talk about personal responsibility? Someone please help me out with that. I want to hear one of them. Or, of course, I'd like to hear more, but I would love to hear one of them just say, man, dude messed up. Like, he screwed up. He shouldn't have done what he did. He shouldn't have had a knife in his hand. He shouldn't have been fighting the police. He shouldn't have been over there in the first place.
Our law enforcement, they are failing us right before our very own eyes, bro. This is a scary time to be a black person in America. There's no doubt about it.
Law enforcement, they're failing us. Now, do failures happen on law enforcement? Of course, obviously. They're human beings. I know I made many mistakes while I was out there, and I make mistakes every day. But this kind of rhetoric is forcing the concept of the defunding the police, or some even go as far as wanting to abolish the police. This is the kind of foolish rhetoric that's out there. It's becoming more and more popular, and it's harmful, and it's dangerous. I just wanted to share my thoughts on this latest video. When I saw it, I just had to comment, and I would love to know what you guys think about this whole video. And if you disagree with me, I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you have some additional thoughts, maybe some ideas or some things that I didn't bring up that you thought of, I'd love to hear them as well. Thanks for watching. In the meantime, stay safe, God bless, and make sure you join the conversation.